Hello everyone, hello from Ukraine. You are watching Channel 24. My name is Anastasia Zuzulyak, and today we're talking with Bridget Brink, who is US Ambassador to Ukraine. So I would like to start. First of all, thank you so much for having this time. Nice to meet you. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you. It's very important for all of our people and for our channel. So nice to meet you.
Thank you, Anastasia.
Thank you. I would like to start with the most relevant events in the Ukraine. We are talking about these missile attacks that we experience, unfortunately, every week here in Ukraine. And it seems to me that Russia is doing genocide because they try to kill all our people, and those who are survived, they want just to leave without gas, electricity, and other things. So, in your personal opinion, what can do West and USA in particular to stop this terror? Maybe we need to have more supplies of air defense system.
Well, thank you for the question. We too are completely focused on this, including the attacks, 70 missiles that came on Monday. We consider it an attack on every household in the country and a war crime. And for our part, the United States is going to do everything possible to help you. And in many ways, and we will continue that help. On the security side, we are now having provided about $20 billion of security assistance, and that assistance is going to keep coming. On the economic support side, we've provided some $15 billion in direct budget support, and that is going to help your emergency workers, your hospital workers, your teachers, and that support also will keep coming. And then we've also provided about $1.5 billion in humanitarian support. And that's also a very important part as you all head into winter to make sure that people who have been affected and hurt so far are supported. So for my part, this is my number one and my team's number one priority day and night to find more ways that we can help you. President Biden has also proposed $37 billion that is now being considered by Congress to help you going forward. So the United States is going to stand with you, and as long as it takes.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. And if you ask Russians what they fear more, the death of HIMARS, the answer will be obvious. And it's there is no strange in this, because HIMARS, they really change the course of war, and all this weapon that US supplies to us, they really affects much and helps our Ukrainian to get this victory. But as to the using of these weapons, the question is sometimes very delicate, because USA do not want to use this weapon only at the territory of Ukraine. But unfortunately or fortunately, we see that something is happening in the nearest days in Russia, some explosions in one of the four, and our Ministry of Defense said that just because something is exploding, and we are not having nothing similar with that. So first of all, why it is so important for the USA that we can use this weapon only on our territory? And now the second one, how do you feels now about that something is happening on the territory of Russia, if it is okay in this course of war?
What I can say is this, and be very clear, that we believe Ukraine has the right to defend itself, to defend its territorial integrity, and also to deter further aggression. So my focus here is on what we can do to support Ukraine in that way. And I can say that there are conversations daily with Ukrainian counterparts between Washington and in Ukraine, whether it's our Secretary of Defense with your Minister of Defense, whether it's our Chief of our Armed Forces, General Milley, with your Chief of Armed Forces, General Zaluzhny, whether it's at the Presidential, Secretary of State, and other levels. So every single day we are thinking about how do we help you to defend yourself. That is our primary job and task in support of your freedom, of your territorial integrity, and your future.
Well, and let's talk about the liberation of our temporary occupied territory. If we talk about the Crimea, for example, we know that the front is very, a lot of things are going on here now, and we have this Kharkiv Oblast liberated, and Kherson and the part of Kherson. So we think that Crimea is the next one, and where will be the question about if we can do it in the military way. So will USA support us to liberate Crimea in a military way?
I can say that how and when the war ends is going to be up to President Zelensky. President Biden has been very clear about that. If the Russians wanted to stop the war, Putin could stop today. He could stop, he could withdraw his troops, and the war would end. So for us, it's very important to support your democratically elected president and the people of Ukraine to defend themselves.
Well, and maybe one of the last question is, President Biden said that he's ready for the negotiation with Vladimir Putin if it will end the war. So what maybe should happen to make these negotiations real, and what these negotiations can change in this war?
I would say that the focus really should be on what's happening here in Ukraine, what the Russians are doing every single day in terms of sending missiles to Ukraine, and now going after Ukraine's civilian energy infrastructure, and to try to put millions of people into the cold and dark, just as you are in entering very cold temperatures in winter. On this issue of negotiations, again, it's up to President Zelensky as to how and when this war ends, and it's very clear which side is the side of peace and which side is the side of war. So President Zelensky talked about a 10-point peace plan, which we, the United States and the G7 countries, have also rallied behind and support in terms of what would be a potential way to end the war. And just on Monday, Russia again sent 70 missiles. So I think it's crystal clear that the Russians have no interest at this point to end the war. The United States supports a just peace, and the just peace as outlined by President Zelensky.
And my last question is, of course, we all are more than sure that Ukraine will win this war, we will have this victory with the help of our partners. We really appreciate this. But you know, we are always very worried about the fate of those people who started this war, because all Ukrainians want these people to be punished, that our world should never experience such things that we are experiencing now in Ukraine. So a lot of people now are talking about something to create like Nuremberg tribunal and something like that. So what is the opinion of the United States about that, and if you will help to punish all these people who create this war? And we are talking about Vladimir Putin, Shoigu, and other people.
So the United States strongly supports justice and accountability for people who have committed these atrocities and war crimes. I'm just here in the Lviv Media Center to talk to the center here, which is trying to help journalists so that they can also survive and develop even in wartime, because journalism and free media is important in a democracy, but it's even more important perhaps during times of war, during times of ultimate stress of governments. And just today, I just heard stories from two journalists from occupied areas of the country, and it's harrowing. What I have heard about, what I have seen myself, is so utterly inhuman and disturbing and horrific that it is something that we, and I believe this, and my whole team believes it, the whole United States government believes it, must make sure that people who commit these horrific crimes against other people are held to account. How exactly that's going to happen, I think, is something we're working on right now with partners, including with Ukrainians. But I can tell you that it's a deep commitment to us, because not only is it important for individuals, it's also important for the signal that it sends to other future aggressors, that you cannot behave in this way, you cannot act in this way. War crimes cannot just go unpunished. So we will continue to work at that until we get to the ultimate result.
Thank you so much for this time. It was a great pleasure to talk with you, and I hope that our next meeting will be in the best Ukraine, when we have a victory, and we will celebrate it together with you, because it's the same victory for Ukrainian soldiers and for United States of America, and we really appreciate it with all Ukrainian people. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.